sexual practices in Africa. Africa, the cradle of humanity. Africa is a vast and diverse continent home to 55 recognized sovereign states with over 2,000 languages and more than 3,000 ethnic groups. The regions of Africa include North Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, East Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Southern Africa, South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Central Africa, Congo, Angola, and Gabon. Africa has a population of approximately 1.4 billion people, which is about 16% of the world's population. Africa spans 30 million kilometers square, or 11.6 million miles square. Africa is home to Sahara Desert, Kalahari Desert, Namib Desert. Africa has mountains such as Atlas, Drakensberg, Mount Kilimanjaro. Africa economy depends on agriculture and cultivation of cotton, cocoa, coffee, mining of gold, diamonds, oil, manufacturing of textiles. Automotive. Africa is rich in music such as Afrobeat, highlife, dance, art, and literature. Africa encompasses various cultures, religions, and traditions influencing sexual practices. Here are some sexual practices in Africa. 1. Kunyaza, the Rwanda Rundi name given to a sexual practice found in the Great Lakes region of East Africa, which is meant to facilitate female orgasm and female ejaculation during intercourse. Rwanda Rundi word kunyaza is derived from the verb kunyara, meaning to urinate, but also signifying female ejaculation achieved by the practice. It is known with various names in different regions, the regular Ugandan term being kakiabali, often transliterated kachabali in anglicized spelling, or Western jazz in slang due to its prevalence in Western regions such as Ankole. The word term kinyara as used by the Bakiga of southwestern Uganda bordering Congo and Rwanda also literally means to urinate. It refers to a method of penis rubbing used by Bakiga men in the form of a whipping motion, usually up and down a woman's vulva, to stimulate the clitoris and also the labia. Like most men in Africa, Bakiga men have no other foreplay techniques, and so they do this to sexually arouse women. Before penetration, it is sufficiently stimulating that it can provide the majority of the sex act, with the man only penetrating when he is about to ejaculate. The women or girls who are to be tested are taken to an enclosed area where she lies down and opens her legs wide. The tester, usually an older woman, then sits on a grass mat and wears gloves on both hands before opening the vagina and looking inside to check if the girl's hymen is intact or if the size of the vaginal opening has been enlarged by penetration. Usually the ladies who are to be tested are bare-chested, only wearing beads on their necks and short skirts. In some cases the tester may pour a liquid into the vagina. If one is still a virgin, it is believed that a small amount of liquid will flow into the vagina, while it will flow easily if the vagina has already been penetrated prior. Ladies who are found to be virgins are celebrated with singing and dancing and given certificates of virginity in Shona culture. After the wedding ceremony, the husband's aunt spread a white sheet over the bed on which the marriage is to be consummated. If the sheet is stained with blood, it indicates that the wife's hymen has just torn, and so she was a virgin at the time of marriage. Nowadays, though, couples usually spend the wedding night away from the family, so a fabric of at least 6 meters in length called jira, rimasanjiro, is used to communicate the virginity status of the new wife. The fabric is untied and inspected by the bride's family in the presence of invited relatives and friends. If it is intact, the family rejoices, but if there is a hole in the middle of the fabric, it means the wife was not a virgin. In the former case, the husband pays mombi yetimanda, a cow, as part of the bride price to the in-laws. If a son-in-law does not pay mombi yetimanda, the family's reputation is sullied in the community. In some cases, the wife may even be returned to her family. Any girl who loses her virginity is no longer whole, and it is believed that she has wasted herself. 3. Potency test. The Banyankole people, also known as the Ankole, are a Bantu ethnic group native to the Ankole region of Uganda. They are primarily found in the southwestern part of the country, in what was historically known as the Angkor Kingdom, the Banyankol are. Renowned for their rich cultural heritage and traditional cattle-keeping practices, one notable yet contentious tradition is the potency test, a cultural ritual aimed at determining a man's potency and fertility before marriage. This practice involves the groom engaging in sexual intercourse with a designated woman, usually the aunt of the bride, to be in a secluded location. The aunt verifies the groom's potency by checking for signs of arousal and ejaculation. Her approval decides whether the marriage will proceed. Additionally, the aunt checks if her niece is a virgin to avoid embarrassment. This aspect of the practice highlights the cultural significance placed on female virginity before marriage. After the marriage, the aunt often remains involved, being present during the couple's first sexual experience. This is intended to help the couple improve their sexual experience and ensure a successful marriage. The potency test reinforces traditional values and beliefs about masculinity, fertility, and marriage. Its purpose is to ensure the groom is capable of fathering children, confirm his masculinity and virility, avoid infertility and childlessness in marriage. This practice underscores the importance of childbearing in Banyankol society, where fertility is deeply tied to cultural identity and family lineage. The potency test has its roots in traditional Banyankol customs, where fertility and childbearing were essential for clan survival and continuity. The practice reflects the Banyankol people's strong emphasis on family, community, and cultural heritage. For sexual initiation rites, sexual rite of passage is a ceremonial event that marks the passage of a young person to sexual maturity and adulthood, or a widow from the married state to widowhood, and involves some form of sexual activity. It is believed that the motivation to force daughters into requiring sexual experience with men is to make them more appealing. Sexual rite of passage is a practice where prepubescent girls as young as 7 years old to as old as 17 years old are sent to a training camp where women known as Anamkung Wiki leaders teach them how to cook, clean, and have sexual intercourse in order to be good wives. At the training camp, the girls are told that they should sleep with a man in order to get rid of child dust, or else their body will become diseased after the training. A man holding the traditional position of hyena, not the animal, performs the 3-day cleansing ritual. For a sum of money, Chinamwali is a 3-month ritual performed in Eastern Province, Zambia. Female by initiators known as Alangizi, they teach sexual practices to girls as young as 12 years old. Afterwards, they are sent to an older man from the community who tests their sexual skills and decide whether they need to go back for more training. Sometimes girls are required to perform the Chizamba, a bare-breasted dance at the end of her initiation in front of the whole community. Sexual initiation rites of prepubescent boys as young as 7 years old are or were practiced in many cultures and usually involve sexual acts with older males. For example, in the New Guinea highlands, among the Baruya Itoro and Sambia peoples, fellatio and the ingestion of semen is performed. The Kaluli practice anal sex to deliver semen to the boy. These rites are often based on the belief that women represent cosmic disorder. The sexual cleansing of widows is a tradition that requires widowed women to have sexual intercourse as a form of ritual purification. It is practiced in parts of Angola, Congo, Ivory Coast, Malawi, Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. It has been suggested that the practice might be based on the idea that a man might die as a result of witchcraft performed by his wife. The 3 to 7 day ritual can be performed by the deceased husband's brother or other male relative, or even a sex worker. Typically, after intercourse, the widow burns her clothes, and the man who had performed the purification shaves her head. This is often done outside, so that the neighborhood can witness that the widow is now cleansed. Finally, a chicken is slaughtered. The ritual is often forced upon a widow by the family of her deceased husband and the wider community. 5 wife swapping Okujapisa, Amukazendu, offering a wife to a guest, is the polyamorous sexual practice of hospitable wife sharing among the nomadic Ovahihimba and Ovazemba peoples of Namibia's Kunene and Omusadi regions. According to the practice, a man welcomes a familiar male guest, typically a family member or best friend, and never a stranger or tourist, to his home by allowing the visitor to sleep in the man's bed and have sex with his wife for the night while the man sleeps in another hut or outside. The woman has little agency in the arrangement. The opposite arrangement, whereby a woman chooses a female friend for her husband to have sex with, exists, but is rare. The practice has been described as generations old, centuries old, and ancient. The practice's justifications include belief that it deepens friendship and prevents promiscuity and jealousy in both sexes. 6. Polygamy. Polygamy in Africa is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon influenced by cultural, historical, social, and economic factors. Countries with significant polygamy practices are Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, Senegal, Mali, Guinea. Polygamy is practiced in various forms across Africa, with estimates suggesting 25 to 50% of marriages in West Africa involve polygamy, 20 to 40% in East Africa, and 10 to 30% in Southern Africa. Polygyny, which is one man having multiple wives, is the most common form of polygamy in Africa. Polygamy is an ancient practice in many African cultures. Men demonstrate status through multiple wives. Polygamy strengthens family bonds and alliances. Islam allows up to 4 wives. Most African countries are patriarchal, which means that men hold authority, and polygamy reinforces this. Multiple wives contribute to farm work. Large families provide additional workforce. Having multiple wives increase offspring, ensuring family continuity. Women care for each other's children. Polygamy forms strategic alliances between families. In conclusion, these sexual practices in Africa might seem weird, but they have been in existence for a long time. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more.